Now, it was an allegation that threatened to take Donald Trump down, and it's dominated his time as president. American intelligence agencies believe Russia tried to sway the 2016 presidential election in his favor. And special counsel Robert Mueller spent 2 years looking into whether anyone from the Trump campaign helped them or colluded.
Now he's handed over his report, and a summary of the conclusions says there was no evidence of collusion. It's been seen as one of Mr. Trump's best days in the White House, and he's been quick to have his say.
It's lasted a long time. We're glad it's over. It's 100% the way it should have been. I wish it could have gone a lot sooner, a lot quicker. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. We can never let this happen to another president again. I can tell you that, and I say it very strongly. Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
Right, let's find out more about this. With us in the studio is Erol Morkoc, who's from Republicans Overseas, and Bill Barnard from Democrats Abroad joins us from Oxford. Bill Barnard, to you first. I wonder how you're feeling tonight, because Donald Trump has called this a complete vindication, an exoneration, a massive day for him, a massive defeat for the Democrats, and it seems it's a huge boost to his next election campaign. Bad day for you guys, isn't it?
I think it is a short-term political boost for the president, no question about it. But you have to remember that it was not exoneration. Mueller makes clear in his own language at Barr cites that it was not exoneration.
On collusion, he says it was exoneration.
No, not quite. He said it does not establish. And usually when lawyers use words like establish, they mean by preponderance of evidence or by beyond question. And that's not the case. There may be evidence of some collusion, but that's not the point. The real point is, I think, that all Americans tonight should be grateful that there was a man of Mueller's character and caliber to conduct that investigation. He had 3 tasks. 2 were given at the beginning, and 1 came along as he went on. The first one was to determine whether or not a foreign adversary had interfered in our elections. The Trump administration denied it repeatedly and tried to slur the special counsel time and time again, but nonetheless, Mueller, in his findings, as reported by Barr, in 2 large areas, documents that the intelligence services were right all along and they did interfere. The second question he had to address was whether or not someone, Trump or the Trump administration or people in the Trump campaign colluded. There it seems that the prominence of evidence is that did not happen. The third question he had to address was one that came along during the course of the investigation, which was whether or not there was an attempt to obstruct justice. And on that crucial one, he declines to go forward and say a crime was committed. First of all, because of special counsel under DOJ, Department of Justice rules, cannot indict a president. But he leaves open the question for the political branches of government to deal with it, which is whether or not he did, in fact, obstruct justice.
Yeah, people effectively listen to headlines, don't they? And the headline in all of this was that Trump is in the clear. Where does this leave the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, all the other media who pushed the narrative throughout this that it was only a matter of time and this was likely to bring Trump down?
I don't think it necessarily. This is not the end of the story. To go back to the point I made at the beginning, this was much bigger than Trump himself, although Trump tried to make himself always the center of attention and the point of it all. The real point was whether or not they would document that a foreign adversary had interfered in our election, and they did do that. Now, the question is, what do we do about that? Does the Trump administration ignore it as it has up to this point, or does it take it seriously and try to take action to ensure that it doesn't happen again?
Okay, Erol Morkoc from Republicans Overseas. This is a 4-page summary of an exhaustive document that we haven't seen in its entirety yet, and nor are we necessarily likely to see anytime soon. It's 4-page interpretation by the Attorney General Bill Barr, who was handpicked by Donald Trump and has only been in office for a month. Can we rely on this interpretation?
Absolutely. Bill Barr is actually a close friend of Mueller, and he's got a long legal history. And more importantly, let's pretend that he had some nefarious objective. He's going to be called in front of a hearing no matter what to testify on. He has no incentive to keep out, a major deal. He released the key findings. If they found out that he had not put in the part where, oh yeah, Trump is a Russian agent, he's in a lot of trouble. So he's going to be called for a hearing and have to testify under oath against that.
Well, let's look at the point Bill was making there about the other charge on here, the other issue, obstruction of justice, which it's listed under high crimes and misdemeanors. It's an impeachment issue. The verdict was not enough to convict him on, but he's not in the clear on this one yet. There's still a whiff about Donald Trump tonight after all this, isn't there?
Well, I think that the way they worded it perhaps was a little way to jab on the way out, but ultimately, how can you have obstructed an investigation for a crime that did not exist? The president has his Second Amendment rights. He has the right to free speech, and anytime the president disagreed with that, he was, instantly vilified as trying to obstruct it. He had the right, if he wanted to have completely shut down that investigation, and thankfully he listened to his advisor and knows all that, because in the corporate world he probably would have done it. But he let it play out. $35 million of taxpayer money gone in there. We have over 1,000 indictments, hundreds of search warrants, and all that, and ultimately it just came to nothing.
Okay, Bill Barnard, Donald Trump will see this as a massive fillip for his 2020 election campaign. How bad is this for the Democrats tonight? Looking ahead and looking to the campaign you're going to have to fight if you want him out of office.
I think it will make less difference than we think at first, perhaps. True for his base and the true believers, yes, this reconfirms what they thought. But I think for that large swath of moderate Republicans, of suburban voters who swung away from Trump in the 2018 elections and in the special elections since then, they still are going to have grave concerns about the character and the caliber of this president, and rightly so.
Okay, Bill Barnard in Oxford and Erol Morkoc here with us tonight. Thank you very much both.
Thank you.
Now, we've